Okay, so that's the slow-mo command. So, yeah, go ahead and set it back to 1. Very cool. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at change size.
Okay, and before I do that, I'm going to toggle behind view, or what's currently bound to the F4 key. Now, what change size will do is it'll adjust the draw scale of your player to make them look bigger, but not just the draw scale. It'll actually change the collision height and radius as well. So it's a cool command if you want to basically change the size of your player. Really interesting for testing, as you'll see. So if I did change size, and again, this works off of the factor you feed this is multiplied by your default height. So 2 would make you twice as big. So now I can run around, jump down, run under here, and just to prove that it is affecting the collision, let me up it all the way to 3, and check it out. I hit my head on that,
the static mesh,
so now I can't get to most of the places on small arena maps like this. But of course, the effect also works the other way. If we lowered it to 0.2, now we're just a tiny little flea holding a gun. And if we had like a jail cell as part of the map, we could probably like run right through the bars now.
Right. That's great.
So, really kind of cool for testing.
Definitely different than changing just the draw scale, because that's you're going to actually appear partially through the floor because the collision box doesn't change.
Right. As a matter of fact, change size again what it does is interesting, but the effect isn't really complete. You can't just go find the code to change size and use that in a mod. Because, for example, if I was to crouch, uncrouching resets your collision height to default. So if I uncrouch,
you're back to the floor.
Now I'm through the floor, similar to if I had just upped my draw scale to 2.
Right, but the collision box didn't get changed.
So change size back to 1 and normal player again.
All right, very cool. Okay, so outside of change size, now we're going to look at set jump Z.
This is gets into more of just a fun command, because if you really wanted to get up to someplace high, you could always use just fly, but fun to play around with nonetheless. So you could do set jump Z. Now this is not 1 is not your default. So that's somewhere between like 80 to 100 or something. So if I set it to 1,000, there we go, super jump.
Very cool.
So we could crank this way up and be able to jump over buildings. Not overly useful to just jump up in the air and then crater, but it's kind of cool. So more free movement if you want to feel like you're Superman for a minute running around your test level.
Right. Okay, so yeah, just, again, miscellaneous commands, but, kind of cool, fun to play with. All right, so the next one we're going to look at is going to be set speed.
Now, if we wanted to allow our player to run faster without upping the general game speed, we could use set speed just to affect the character we're controlling. So set speed, and this is where 1 is the default. So 3 would be 3 times as fast. Now let me go back into first person for a minute. So now as we run,
you are flying.
Now we can really get moving. The funny thing about this is your dodge speed is also affected by this. So if you were to dodge,
ow, right in the head.
This is kind of funny. It looks like you're boosting across the level.
That was awesome.
Now keep in mind, we also had the jump Z set up to 1,000, so now we can bolt across the level 3 times as fast as normal.
Right.
Jump over anything.
Okay, so let's see. Set speed. Next, we're going to look at set gravity.
Now, since I'm going to be using set gravity with jump, I'm probably going to suicide real quick just to get my jump Z back to normal. There we go. Normal jumping. Because jumping does play into gravity, obviously.
Right.
Now, with set gravity, as you might have already guessed, will simply allow you to adjust gravity. So set gravity now, the way this works is by the actual gravity value that you would use as though you were setting it for the zone. So if I was to do... and the default, by the way, is negative 950. So negative values are gravity pulls you downward, meaning you could accidentally give it a positive value and you actually float in the level now. Now, of course, something more realistic. Well, actually, here we go with the 950 thing. So 950, back to normal. So that would imply that if we took this down to maybe 550 instead, well, hard to see. Take it down to 150. There. Now we have low grav.
Right. More like a helium balloon that's running out of steam.
Now, where this command gets really cool is, what if you had part of your level like the outdoor area of a spaceship zoned in, and you wanted to make that zone low grav to give you the ability to jump across a certain gap.
And you're looking for that just right setting.
Right, because you don't want to have your players floating too far, because then it gets annoying as it takes you forever to get back on the ground. If you want to set up the gravity to fit certain jumps inside the level, set gravity becomes really handy, because obviously there's no need to save or reload anything, just as you're going.
Right. Otherwise, go into the game, then you'd go back over to UnrealEd, make an adjustment, go back into the game, back and forth, and
so
that's slow.
Say we want to set the gravity so we can double jump up to that ledge and maybe dodge jump across like the length of the level pretty much. So negative 450, not quite. Negative 350. Almost. Negative 300. There we go. And let me just test the dodge jump thing. Whee!
Perfect.
So
yeah, that beats going back and forth between the game and UnrealEd.
Right. So at this point, we could go back into the editor and set our Z gravity of our zone to negative 300.
300. Yep. Very cool. Okay, so that's set gravity. So the last one that we're going to take a look at in this miscellaneous section is going to be the exec command, which is very cool as well.
Now, the exec command takes in a file. That file will be a simple text file that can contain console commands, any command you want. And the cool thing, of course, is that way you can make a whole list of commands you want to run and then run them through a file instead. For example, let me jump back to this conveniently placed notepad real quick. Now, say we want to set up a few things for testing, like make a testing or my commands exec file. The first thing is, how about we have this exec file activate God mode?
Okay.
Then, let's say, I don't know, maybe even run loaded. So now we're getting...
Now you're God with all the weapons.
But say, since this is going to be for testing, we also want to set up maybe even a keybind. So from here we could do set input, and let's bind the O key to FOV10. So now O will zoom in.
Okay.
But to make this even more useful, so we don't have to hit FOV and then the console to bring us back, I'm going to throw in the pipe symbol so that we can throw another command on in this input binding. So let's say FOV10 and then on release FOV 90.
Just to bring us back to normal.
Right, and again, we could put anything else we want in here, but just as it is, I think I'll save this out so we can test it. We'll do save as, and underneath the UT 2004 system directory, I'll save this as, let's say, my commands, caps lock key. So mycommands.txt. And you can have the file extension be whatever you want, is you have to specify the full file name here. So you could leave the whole extension off, make it something else, but txt is convenient because then it'll probably open in whatever text editor you use.
Right.
So mycommands.txt, save that out, go back into the game. So now, well, we can get hurt, so we definitely don't have God mode on.
And hit the O key.
And the O key.
Nothing happening.
But now if I do exec, and then my commands.txt, so whatever that file in the system directory is.
Now you've got all the weapons.
God mode on, and if I hit the O key, zooms in, and the moment I let the key go, it doesn't quite zoom out. Let me see what I see. On, release, set input FOV10, on release FOV90. Let's see.
Not seeing any spelling errors or anything in there.
Set input. It definitely got set. Let's open up.
Just go ahead and do a field of view, set that back to 90 at the moment.
So if we bring this back now, of course it did work. We've got multiple commands that ran, even part of the set input.
Now redo the binding directly from the console real quick.
As a matter of fact, to make this quicker, let me copy that out, paste that into the console. So there may be some limitations to what can be done in exec files, just something to keep in mind. But for the most part, you can run even like simple key bindings, one command per key bind.
Right. Okay, so it was definitely worth checking out. Just wanted to make sure maybe that pipe signal symbol is giving it a problem coming in from the text file. That's why I just wanted to show that it would definitely work from the console command.
Right.
Okay, so anyways, that's the whole idea behind the exec command. It's just the simple fact that you can create a text file that contains a series of commands for you already for, perhaps setting up an environment the way you like it, and then you could simply put this text file on a floppy and carry it around with you if you were to go play on someone else's machine. Okay, so with that, that's going to wrap up this lesson here on miscellaneous commands. Thanks a lot.